Hello and welcome to Sri Raj IAS. My name is Shashank Roy and we are going to cover some of the most important articles published in the Hindu. So let's start with today's topic. But before we proceed further, there's a Babaji Ka podcast and it shows some changes are painful but necessary. Here, the child was riding this bicycle with the supporting wheel, right? Supported wheel, but now the child has removed it. Now child is driving this bicycle independently without any support, without any crushes, without any support structure. So sometimes you have to come out of your comfort zone so that you can grow and prosper beyond your imagination. So this is in short, we can say that come out of your comfort zone if you really want to grow, because nothing grows in comfort zone. So let's talk about today's article. The name, do you know the name of the person in the picture? His name is Vijay Thalapathy. His name is Vijay Joseph, and he has recently sworn in as the new Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu. He is known as Thalapathy. Thalapathy means commander, and he's one of the finest actor in South Indian movie industry, in Tamil movie industry. Now, his party TVK has got the maximum number of seats 108, running short of 5 to 10 seats in to prove his majority. So, what this story is all about? He goes to after winning 108 seats, he goes to meet the governor and claims to form the government. But the governor Arlekar, instead of inviting him, because he was the largest political party after assembly election in Tamil Nadu, instead of inviting him to form the government and prove his majority on the floor, what the governor did, governor said that please give me the list of those MLAs who are supporting you, because I need to be confident. Now, this is something which is beyond the constitutional mandate. This is not has been written in the constitution. So, in today's news article, we have 4 5 articles related to the same thing. The governor's conduct. Vijay sworn in as the chief minister promises transparent, clean governance. Next article is also related to the same. No detours. The third one is written by Rajiv Dhawan and Sanjay Hegde. Both are the senior advocates of the Supreme Court. The governor who forgot his job. And the fourth one is governor's role in government formation. So the question is, before we proceed further, let's talk about what is the role of governor. What is the role of governor in a democracy? In a federal democracy, I would say. In a federal democracy, what is the role of governor in a federal democracy? What role does he play? Right, that's the bigger question, because in the past governor's office has come into limelight because of the wrong reasons, right? So, role of governor in a federal democracy, this is the central theme of this article. Now, if you look at UPSC syllabus is integrated like in GS paper 2. This is related to Indian constitution, center state relations, governor's role, federal principles, and the role of governor in a federal democracy. What is constitutional morality, Supreme Court judgments related to governor's mandate, governor's role. Now, coalition politics and parliamentary democracy. So this is what we are going to do. Apart from that, we will also discuss some commissions report, such as Punchi Commission report, Punchi Commission report, and some other reports. Sarkaria Commission report, Sarkaria Commission report, Sarkaria Commission report on center state relations and governor's office. So what this article is all about, the UPSC summary, the article summary is, the TVK led by C. Joseph Vijay emerged as the single largest party in Tamil Nadu assembly elections. No party crossed the majority mark, which is 118. So Joseph Vijay or Thalapathy Vijay got 108 seats in assembly election, which was the highest number of seats won by any political party, and it has dismantled the command and control of AIADMK and DMK. Both of these political parties, after ruling Tamil Nadu for almost 60 years in continuation, for the first time they have been dismantled, sidelined by the voters, by the voting person, by the citizens of or by the people of Tamil Nadu. So he got 108 seats. The majority mark is 118. So he was running short of 10 seats. He was running short of 10 seats to prove his majority. Now, TVK later got support from smaller parties. Congress also supported TVK to prove his majority to meet the 118 marks. Now, he went to governor to stake claim for the formation of the government. Ideally, any political party, any largest political party who is claiming to form the government, he is supposed to prove his majority, he is supposed to prove his confidence not in front of governor but on the floor of the assembly. Governor is no one to ask or to force the claiming political party to prove his majority right in front of him in Raj Bhavan. The majority claim is supposed to be proved on the floor of the house, not in front of governor. But in this case, governor asked Vijay Joseph to give him a list of all the MLAs who are going to support him. So governor delayed invitation and sought proof of majority support letters. Debate began over whether governor acted constitutionally. Is it the mandate? Is it the power of the governor to do so? Now, the core constitutional issues. Now, what should the governor invite in a hung assembly? Hung assembly means when no political party is having a clear majority or majority mark. Article 164(1) says governor appoints chief ministers, but constitution does not say any. Constitution does not clearly define whom to invite first in a hung assembly. Now, if there is an assembly election and no political party has got the majority mark 118 in this case, so what the governor should do in this case? Ideally, we hear about the governor's discretion, situational discretion. If there is no political party or if there is a hung assembly elections, what governor can do? Governor is supposed to invite the largest political party to stake the claim for the formation of the government. But it has not been written in the constitution. So the question is, the constitution does not clearly define whom to invite first in a hung assembly. This creates a scope for discretion, and this is what the constitutional blankness or the constitutional vacuum. Now the Supreme Court says majority must be tested on the floor of the house, not in Raj Bhavan. Raj Bhavan is not a place. Raj Bhavan is not a place because governor is appointed by the central government. Governor is not appointed by the people of the state. So, Raj Bhavan is not a place to prove his majority. Governor's personal opinion, governor doesn't have a personal opinion. Whatever governor is going to decide, it's not his personal discretion. His discretion must be derived from the constitutional morality, from the constitutional principles. Now, media claims and political preferences. So majority must be tested on the floor of the house and not in Raj Bhavan, in governor's personal opinion, in media claims or in political preference. Now, major support Supreme Court judgment. What the Supreme Court has said. In 1994, S.R. Bommai case was there, in which Supreme Court said the floor test is the only constitutional method to prove the majority, and in this case, governor is no one to ask Vijay Joseph to prove his majority in the Raj Bhavan. Now, Rameshwar Prasad case 2006 says governor cannot manipulate constitutional process, and it appears that governor manipulated the constitutional process here. Now, in Karnataka case in 2018, Supreme Court ordered immediate floor test after controversy over invitation to BJP. In this case, in 2018 case, Congress was in majority, but despite being in majority, despite being the largest political party after assembly election, BJP, which was having a less number of seats than Congress, was invited to form the government. So here the question is about the manipulation of constitutional process and the question mark on the governor's office. Now, historical precedents. In Goa and Manipur in 2017, what happened? Congress was the largest political party, but BJP was invited because it showed coalition support quickly. In Karnataka 2018, BJP was invited despite lacking majority, and this is where Supreme Court intervened. Now, what is the pattern? Governor discretion often becomes politically controversial. So this is what is the problem. Discretion doesn't mean the personal discretion of the governor. There is nothing called personal opinion or personal discussion when we talk about the governor's office. Whatever governor decides, it's according to the principles of the constitution. Constitutional morality must be maintained by the governor's office whenever he goes to take any whenever he takes any decision. There is nothing called personal when it comes to governor's office. Discretion is not personal, it's the constitutional discretion. But the pattern is governor discretion often becomes politically controversial. Now, what the Sarkaria Commission said in this case, Sarkaria Commission was constituted in 1988. It recommended order for inviting government. I mean, it gave the prescription that on what should be the parameter to invite a political party to form the government. The first, pre-poll alliance with majority, single largest, either if there is a pre-poll alliance, let's say Joseph Vijay got 108 seats and he had a pre-poll alliance to get a support from other political party, let's say Indian National Congress, to get 10 more seats. So this is called pre-poll alliance. Single largest party with support, post-poll coalition and outside support coalition. These are the four areas recommended by the Sarkaria Commission in 1988 for inviting government. The aim was to ensure stability and constitutional neutrality. Now in 2010, Punchi Commission gave its recommendation that what should be the parameters on the basis of which a political party should be invited to form the government in a state. Now first, neutral governor must be neutral. He must not take any politically controversial decision. Limited discretionary misuse. When we talk about discretion, it's not the political discretion. It's not the personal discretion of the governor. Now, constitutional morality over politics. This is what Punchi Commission said. So if we look at Sarkaria Commission and Punchi Commission, both these commissions raised questions about the governor's office and its constitutional mandate. Next is key debate. Critics argued governors are deliberately delaying government formation in especially the opposition ruling states, demanded excessive proof, acted politically, and supporters argued that majority verification was necessary. Supporters of the governor say that majority verification was necessary. Governor wanted to pacify himself or satisfy himself that Joseph Vijay will be able to form the government, but it is not holding water. Right? So critics argue governor delayed the government formation deliberately, demanded excessive proof and acted politically, because of which this controversy took place. Now why this matters for UPSC? What are the themes? When we talk about governor office, we do not talk about only governor office. This is related to federalism, neutrality of constitutional offices, center and state tensions or center and state relations, coalition politics and judicial checks on executive power. So these are also the underlying matters related to this governor's office. Now, how will you remember this entire affair? Mnemonic is FLOR. F for federalism, L for largest party debate, O for office of governor, O for order by commission, and R role for Supreme Court. So this is how you will remember the entire affair. Now one UPSC, the final statement is, the governor's discretion in a hung assembly must operate within constitutional morality, judicial precedent, and the principle that majority is tested only on the floor of the house. Let me repeat it. The final conclusion is the governor's discretion in a hung assembly must operate within constitutional morality, judicial precedent, and the principle that majority is tested only on the floor and not in Raj Bhavan. So this is the article for today. Please note it down. These two sentences summarize the entire political issue. Okay? This is the mind map I have designed for you, and now let's move on to the next article. Access cost. The opportunity cost of accessing medical care remains high. This article is related to the cost of accessing medical facilities. This is related to health. This is related to health as a priority for the government of India, for India's laborers or Indian citizens. So it says that despite having the uniformity in terms of expansion of medical services and access and availability of medical services, this article talks about that still out-of-pocket expenditure is too much for the people at the grassroots level. Next, let's look at it. First of all, when we talk about health, let's integrate sustainable development goals first here. For sustainable development goals to be integrated here, we can have no poverty. We can have good health only when we have no poverty, when we have zero hunger, and when we have good health. Now, when we have good health, when we have good access to health medicines, we will have the quality education and gender equality. So again, you can also integrate reduced inequalities and yep. So access to medical healthcare services, you can integrate goal number 1, goal number 2, goal number 3, goal number 4, goal number 5, and goal number 10, and goal number 17 as well, partnership for goals. That's it. So this is how you integrate sustainable development goals when it comes to health. Next is, when we talk about directive principle of state policy, let's look at all those provisions which talk about the access to health or healthy living. Now, protection of livelihood, resources and means and health, etc. Article 39. Work, profession and public assistance, Article 41. 42 is just and humane condition. Article 43 is secure living wage. Now Article 47 is nutritional and standard of living. Now again, so Article 39, 41, 42, 43 and 47 talks about health. Talks about health, environment, livelihood, right? When we talk about Gandhian principles, there is nothing such mentioned here. Liberal intellectual, no, mainly you will focus on socialist principle of socialist principles of DPSP, Article 39, Article 41, 42, 43 and 47. So we have integrated sustainable development goal number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 and 17. Then we have socialistic pattern of society under DPSP, Article 39, 41, 42, 43, 47. And then we are going for the syllabus integration. This topic is related to GS paper 2, government policies and intervention, labor welfare, public health, social justice and occupational safety. GS paper 3 is related to human resource development, inclusive growth, health infrastructure, informal sector challenge. Now article crux, cost to access. What is the core issue in this article? The government announced free and annual health checkup for workers above 40 years, though through ESIC under new labor codes. But the article argues that access to healthcare remains expensive and unequal for workers despite the scheme. So we will do some dissection here. So let me add one page here. Let's talk about India's labor force. Let's talk about India's labor force. India's labor force, right? So we have 143 plus crore population, out of which we have 90% labor force involved in unorganized sector. Unorganized sector. When we say unorganized sector, it means that these people do not have any provident fund facility, any gratuity, any kind of security or any kind of safety net. They are working in hazardous labor conditions, right? So this is what unorganized sector is all about. Now what the government says, government is saying that labor code, they have recently implemented 4 labor codes. They have implemented 4 labor codes. And under these labor codes, all the labor class, all the laborers who are above 40 years plus age, they will get free access to medicine, free access to medicines under government impaneled hospitals. Now this article is probing this, that yes, finally that's a good initiative that you've taken, but the question is that if a person who is working as a Manrega laborer, or if a person who is working as a construction laborer, he will lose 1 day of his work and he will go for the medical treatment, how that fellow will be compensated? So majority of the people will not leave their job. They will not lose their 1 day of wage for the medical checkup. Again, what are the facilities that you are going to, what is the entire diagnosis? Are you giving them the entire healthcare checkup? Are you giving them the total diagnostic assessment of their health about the heart? Is it related to communicable and non-communicable diseases as well? What are the remedies available? So these are some of the questions this article is asking. The article is asking, government has announced that free annual health checkup for workers above 40 years through ESIC under the new labor code. But the article argues that access to healthcare remains expensive and unequal for workers despite the scheme. Now, let's talk about the article. What is the scheme? The scheme says, according to the new labor code, that all the workers who are above age 40 years of age, they will get the medical facilities and medical screening implemented through Employee State Insurance Corporation. What is the objective of the government? The government says that they will have earlier disease detection, reduced worker health burden, and expand labor welfare coverage. This is the government intends to do. Now, existing legal framework, what are the legal frameworks under which the laborers workforce can get these facilities? Under Factories Act 1948, ESI Act 1948, Occupational Safety, Health and Working Conditions Code 2020. So these are three legal initiatives under which a working class or labor class can get medical facilities. Now, main problems highlighted here. Now, after the health minister has announced this, these are the problems that are there. The first one is limited coverage. India has a very weak worker health obligation. Majority workers are working in informal sector. Up to 90% of India's labor force is in informal sector, as I have explained. ESIC coverage is still incomplete. Again, if you look at the data availability for the laborers, around 31 crore laborers are registered on e-Shram portal. What about 60 crore remaining laborers? What about 60 crore other laborers who are not registered on e-Shram portal? It means they are away from the visibility radar or from the radar of the health coverage. Again, ESIC integration still incomplete in many states, means majority of the states have not updated the labor related data on their e-Shram portals. So 60 crore laborers are out of touch. They are not on the visibility radar of the government. Next is healthcare access cost remains high. Even if tests are free, even if the government is saying that above 40, whomsoever is above 40, they will be tested for medical diseases. The problem is the workers lose wages during visit. Let's say I'm a construction laborer and I have to go to medical checkup. Do you think that I will afford to lose 1 day of my wage? No, not at all. Again, multiple hospital visit increase expenses. Now, travel costs remain high and there is no answer to this. Ideally, the medical facilities or basic medical testing can be done within the premises as well. And there can be a provision that you can take 2 hours of leave for the whole body checkup or whole medical checkup within the construction premises or within the nearby premises. The laborers can be compensated or there can be a transport facilities organized by the contractor or the organization. So opportunity cost becomes a major barrier in accessing healthcare despite government initiative. Next is focus only on non-communicable diseases. Scheme mainly targets diabetes and hypertension but ignores many occupational diseases such as heat stress, toxic exposure, construction injuries and agriculture risk. Whereas if we look at India's unorganized sector, the majority of injuries are coming from heat stress, toxic exposure, construction injuries and agriculture risk. But unfortunately, Government of India's initiative is not covering these injuries. They're only talking about diabetes and hypertension, only focusing on non-communicable diseases. Now, informal workers ignore. High risk workers such as sanitation worker who are vulnerable for disease or transmission. But look, informal working workers ignored. High risk workers, sanitation workers, waste pickers, domestic workers and construction laborers, they are the high risk workers. But unfortunately, they are out of the radar of the government initiative. Again, proper health access, vaccination support and workplace based healthcare is missing from all these areas. Now, what article suggests that? The article suggests these are the steps that government should take in order to give benefits to these people. Priority areas, there must be mobile occupational health unit. There can be a van, there can be a truck, there can be a bus with all the medical facilities. This mobile van can enter or travel to different locations and they can diagnose the problems, they can take the health related measures on site itself so that no labor has to lose their daily wage. Now, compensation tokens. Workers should receive compensation for lost work hours during checkups. Expand occupational disease recognition, including heat stress and workplace illness under ESI coverage. Again, strengthen ESIC infrastructure. We need more doctors, more bed, and better diagnostic facilities if we want everyone to get benefited by this initiative. Now, the bigger structural concern are, the article warns that a screening program alone cannot solve labor health inequality if healthcare infrastructure remains weak. So before expanding the healthcare coverage, we should pay attention to the healthcare infrastructure. If the healthcare infrastructure is not adequate, it will not be able to touch every life or every person who is really in need of medical intervention. Important concept for UPSC is opportunity cost for healthcare, means workers lose income and time while seeking treatment. So even if the government's intention is right, no worker would like to lose their daily wage for the medical checkup. So instead of labor going to the hospital, hospital must come to the laborer, like mobile van. One line UPSC conclusion says that labor welfare schemes becomes meaningful only when healthcare is accessible, affordable, workplace oriented, and inclusive of informal workers. Read it again. Labor welfare schemes becomes meaningful only when healthcare is accessible, affordable, workplace oriented, and inclusive or informal workers. Right? So this is it in this article. Again, there is advancing India South Korea defense innovation ties. This is an article which will be covered later, but I'll cover it. Okay, just a minute. So what this article is all about, this article is Advancing India South Korea Defense Innovation Ties, written by Tejas Bhardwaj and Mugdha Satpute. So what this article talks about, this article is talking about few things. First of all, India's defense preparedness. Can you tell me who is the biggest military partner of India? I know you will say it's Russia. Or I would ask, what all countries are there? I mean, who all are the countries from where India procures the weapon system? Russia. From Russia, we get 38% of the weapon system. Then we have USA. Then we have France. Then we have Germany. Then we have UK. We also do it with Brazil and some other countries, and Israel. So why India is diversifying? Why India is diversifying? Why India is diversifying its military equipments? At the same time, India is also talking about Atmanirbhar in defense. India is also talking about Atmanirbhar in defense. Right? So this article is all about it, that what India is doing. India is trying to diversify its military procurement, its military weapon system, and India is also becoming a not net, but India is becoming an exporter of weapon system itself. India has earned $4 billion worth of contracts, worth of revenue by defense exports. So defense preparedness. Let's talk about India South Korea vow to deepen strategic partnership in defense. India South Korea defense partnership. Let's talk about this article. In GS paper 2, it talks about India's bilateral relation, India South Korea relation, strategic partnership. In GS paper 3, defense technology, defense manufacturing, innovation and startup ecosystem, Make in India and Atmanirbhar Bharat. So this article is saying India South Korea have steadily expanded defense cooperation since 2005. In 2005, we signed defense MOU. 2010, we had defense R&D agreement, and 2020 we converted this defense agreement into defense industry roadmap. Now what India is focusing with South Korea, India is focused on defense manufacturing, technology transfer, joint R&D and co-production of the weapon system. Now launch of KINDEX, Korea India Defense Accelerator, announcing during India South Korea Summit. What is the objective of this defense agreement? What is the objective of this defense agreement? The objective is connect with startups, university, defense industries, investors, innovative ecosystem for both countries. And this is how we will have cross fertilization of technology. Why Kindex is important? Kindex is working as a defense innovation bridge between India and South Korea. What we can do, we can have joint defense innovation, we can have co-development, we have co-production and deep technology collaboration in defense domain. Now, key areas of cooperation with South Korea. Key areas of cooperation will be artificial intelligence, robotics and automation, space and satellite, semiconductor ecosystem, critical minerals, surveillance and ISR systems. Existing success example. So, we have already signed strategic military defense agreement with South Korea. Now we have K9 Vajra T Howitzer. Howitzer means long guns, big guns. Jointly developed by L&T in India and Hanwha Aerospace South Korea. And this is one of the best shining example of India-South Korea defense collaboration, seen as a successful Make in India defense partnership. Now, strategic importance of this collaboration is helps India reduce defense import dependence on other countries, strengthens Atmanirbhar Bharat in defense, expand Indo-Pacific cooperation, and boost defense startup ecosystem in India. Now, so this is it in this article with regards to India-South Korea collaboration in defense. Now, next article is related to what measures are needed to address Delhi's heat crisis. Heat crisis. What will happen if you have a temperature of, if the environment is 40-degree high, if the temperature is 42 degrees Celsius? Will you be able to work like a normal man? Will it not impact your productivity? Imagine that you have a labor force, you have 90% of India's labor force in unorganized sector. Means, let me show you through diagram. This article is about what ensures, what measures are needed to address Delhi's heat crisis. Let me make you understand through a diagram. This is India's map, right? We all know we are a subtropical nation, right? So we receive maximum heat, Now climate change has further aggravated this situation. Climate change has further aggravated the situation. Now, along with this climate change, you have one more problem. The problem is unplanned urbanization. Unplanned urbanization. Now, in urban areas, there is a concept known as urban heat islands. There is a concept known as urban heat islands. What does that mean? In urban areas, you will find that urban areas have a higher temperature. Urban areas have a higher temperature in comparison of the rural areas. Now, why does that happen? Because have become a concrete of jungle of concrete. We have buildings completely covered with glass, right? Now, when the buildings are covered with glass, the heat is completely trapped, and in order to cool down the building, we use a lot of ACs, and in return, ACs further increase the temperature of the environment. Apart from that, we have asphalt road, we have vehicular emissions, and unfortunately Delhi does not have a water body or coastal area like a river or ocean. Because of these things, what is happening? Because of these things, Delhi has become a tinderbox. Temperature is touching more than 43 degrees Celsius. So this is one aspect of the story. Now let me take you through the labors. India's labor class, India's entire economy can be divided into these steps: organized, organized versus unorganized sector, right? The second one is public versus private, right? And the third one is public sector, private sector, organized or unorganized sector, or primary, secondary, or tertiary sectors of economy. In all these three sectors, right? In all these three sectors, out of our 100% labor force, we have 90% labor force. We have 90% labor force involved in unorganized sector. Unorganized sector. Now, when we talk about 90% labor force involved in unorganized sector, we mean that we are talking about farmers, daily wage laborers, people working in micro, small, and medium enterprises, people who are a part of footloose migration or the migrants, people who are working in agriculture fields, or the people who are vendors or who are hawkers, right? So 90% of India's labor force is involved in unorganized sector, and these labor force include the farmers, daily wage laborers, people working in MSME sector, footloose migration, agriculture laborers, vendors, and hawkers. And unfortunately, they do not have any heat management plan. They do not have any heat management plan. In fact, they do not have capacity to deal with it. Now the question is how this heat budget, how this heat stress is impacting economy. How this heat or the rising temperature, how this heat or rising temperature is impacting economy in GDP terms. It is costing India's GDP 2 to 3% of the GDP. 2 to 3% of the GDP is cost by the rising temperature in India's urban areas. So team, are we clear on that? Look at this one. What measures are needed to address Delhi's heat crisis? I have explained you urban heat island. Now, I have segregated India's labor force involved in different sectors, challenges faced by them. Now, India's cooling crisis, how to solve it? How extreme heat is affecting India? People living in Delhi, Maharashtra, Goa, Kerala, Gujarat, Rajasthan, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh face the highest risk from heat in the country according to a new study. Amid growing heat wave, how India protects its heat exposed population. India's climate apocalypse. New scientific update paints a stark picture on country's accelerating crisis. Now look at this one. Regional hotspots observed climate change in India. Hindu Kush Himalayas, accelerated warming and glacier melt is taking place there. Northwest India, increase in warm days and warm nights here. Western India, rise in extreme rainfall, increase in warm days and warm nights. Western coast, increase in severe tropical and cyclones and rising extreme sea level. Central India, rise in extreme rainfall. Sundarban, rise in sea level. These are some of the symptoms which shows that something is wrong. Not something is wrong, nothing is right. Natural killers, if we look at India's heat hotspot, these are, approximately 5,607 people died due to heat related illness in India. Look at this one. This is the hotspot map, heat wave between May 24 to 30th in 2015. This is the heat wave hotspot of India. Look at this one. And the number of heat related days are rising. So the basic question is how Delhi is fighting, or how India is going to fight with this heat related illness, death or stress. This is urban heat island. If you look what urban heat island is, in urban areas we have building completely covered with glass, and these buildings trap heat. So urban infrastructure or the unplanned urban infrastructures have become the heat trapping areas. They trap the heat and they release it at night, because of which the urban areas are mostly, they are urban areas are mostly higher in temperature in comparison of the rural areas. That's why they are known as urban heat islands. Now, if you look at sustainable development goals, we can integrate goal number 11 and goal number 12 related to this article. Next is UPSC GS paper 1, urbanization, climate change and urban heat island effect. In prelims, there may be a question related to urban heat island. In GS paper 3, environment and ecology, disaster management, sustainable urban planning and energy and infrastructure. Give me 1 second, Vijay. So article crux, Delhi's heat crisis. Now the core problem is Delhi NCR is becoming a heat trap due to rapid urbanization, concrete heavy infrastructure, glass building, shrinking glass cover, green cover and rising vehicular emission, which leads to making it an urban heat island. Now, why Delhi retains heat? Why Delhi's temperature is higher than the nearby areas? Concrete, asphalt, steel and glass absorb heat during the day and release it slowly at night. High-rise dense construction block airflow. High-rise dense construction block the airflow. ACs cool indoors but release heat outside, worsening temperature. And roads and highways act as continuous heat corridors. Major impact, how it impacts economy. Productivity falls during extreme heat. Industries and supply chain suffers because our machines are not designed to work in 50 degrees Celsius temperature. They break down, the ACs get tripped. India loses huge economic output due to heat stress. Now ecology, loss of wetlands, Yamuna floodplain and green spaces weaken the natural cooling system of Delhi's urban areas. Energy crisis, cooling demand is rising by leaps and bounds and Delhi needs 8,000 megawatts of electricity to sustain this peak heat. Cooling demand and sharply increase electricity consumption, which is leading to power outages during peak summer. Now solutions, what are the solutions? Solutions are urban planning reform is needed, cool roof and reflective coating, better ventilation corridor, passive cooling architecture and more trees, parks and water bodies. Sustainable mobility, better public transport, electric mobility and reduced vehicular emission. Now social protection is also important. So affordable cooling access, community cooling centers and there's one more thing, just give me a second. And retention for vulnerable populations. So the one line conclusion says Delhi's heat crisis is not merely a climate issue but a result of unsustainable urban planning, ecological degradation and energy intensive development. So this is it today. For today, we will get back to you with a new topic. Till then, thank you so much. Wish you a wonderful day ahead. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.